Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me if you're out there. I think there's a few people shows that are waiting. That's awesome. Let me know if you can hear me and everything's okay. I'm a minute early. I can see people joining. Let me know if you can hear me, if the picture's okay. Still fairly new to the lives. Hi, Sherry. Awesome. Just have to wait for that 20-second delay or whatever it is. Camera seems funky. I'll just wait a couple minutes for people to come in, and then we'll start talking about this full moon. The full moon, the exact time of the full moon and the lunar eclipse is at 11:21 my time, Pacific time. So in about 50 minutes. Let's see, how are we on the time? 1 minute in. People are still joining. I can see that. Of course, people will pop in and out whenever. Okay, so is there a vote if I should look at the Vedic perspective or the Western perspective first? Is there anyone have a preference? They're both very interesting. Of course, there's overlapping messages there. No preference? Okay, I'm going to start talking. Yeah, and it's very chilly here, and I've had a slightly runny nose because of the cold, so I apologize if I sniffle a bit. So, does anyone out there know if there's a way to share the screen? I don't think there is. So I printed up copies of the charts, so I'll show them to you. But let's start with the Vedic system, the sidereal system for this full moon penumbral lunar eclipse. So a penumbral lunar eclipse, let's talk about that. It's where the moon isn't totally like dark red, it's like a shadow. So umbra means shadow. So the earth is casting a subtle shadow on the moon. And I printed up this picture just to see what it would look like. And I think most people like Europe, Africa, Australia, Asia will see it because the timing, it's in North and South America, it's during the day. So we won't be able to see that. So it's a shadow that's cast on the moon by the earth. And I feel that's very significant with the astrological energy here, because I think this eclipse, this full moon, is bringing to light shadow aspects within ourselves, or you can even say a darker side of our personality that we need to be aware of and to face now. And that can be scary. There's an element of fear here. And there's sort of a theme of, especially in the Western chart, of descending into the underworld. And that's because of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction. But let's start with the Vedic here. So I just want to start with that. Hi, everyone who comes in. I can see all the numbers of who's here. Yeah, okay, so pop in a question. If you have a question about this full moon, I'm just going to start talking. Okay, so the Vedic chart, I'll hold it up because I think if I try StreamYard, I can share the screen. But for now, we're doing this. That's the chart. So you can see, if I can do this here, we have the moon here opposite the sun. In this full moon's chart, so this is a chart for the event of the full moon. The moon is in the 4th house, and the sun, along with all these other planets, right here, is in the 10th house. The moon is conjoined Rahu, or the North Node. That Rahu is the Vedic name for the North Node. And the 4th house, it's a house of past karma, past lives. It's a house of home, also of mother and family. So with the moon being eclipsed, again, this shadow, just a shadow eclipse, shadows of our pasts, even past lives. And this can also include, with this fourth house energy, shadows of our family and ancestors or of our traditions. The shadows are being brought to our attention with the eclipse energy. And when they're brought to our attention, they're brought to our conscious awareness. So when the eclipse is over, the moon again shines fully bright. And then it's up to us what we do with that. Do we acknowledge that shadow or shadows, whatever it may be for each person, and say, okay, I need to acknowledge this and address it. Maybe there's some healing. Maybe there's just, you need to understand that it's there. Maybe there's forgiveness that needs to come from this for self or others, family, mother, home. Or do you choose to ignore that it's there and let that shadow overshadow your life? So that's the energy I'm picking up there. Now, it's interesting because the moon is in the nakshatra Punavarsu, and that very much has to do with home and mother. Like the ruling god is Aditi, a celestial mother goddess. And so there is this mother and almost like grandmotherly energy here too. So there may be some healing or some awareness, some shadows coming up concerning your mother or grandmothers. Again, that can just in general be ancestors or Mother Earth, connecting to Mother Earth and to nature and the environment and honoring any shadows we may have concerning that. So an example of a shadow concerning that is that you throw trash on the street or something. And it's like, you know, you have to acknowledge that and make a difference and not pollute the earth. It's going to be different for each person. And then I should point out, you know, how this affects you individually depends a lot on where this lays on your natal chart and what houses this lays on. Yeah. But in general, because this is the moon's chart that I have here, it's in the fourth house. So fourth house energy, but that's supported by the nakshatra. And the shadow energy, that's also sort of added to by, again, we have the sun here, the sun, and all these planets with the sun, of course, opposite the full moon. Not only are they in the eclipse alignment, and in Vedic astrology, any planet conjoined Rahu and Ketu are said to be eclipsed by Rahu and Ketu, even if it's not an actual like astrological eclipse. But what's interesting also is that Saturn, Mercury, and Jupiter here conjoined the sun and Ketu are all combusted by the sun. Even Jupiter, his combustion zone is like 11 degrees and he's just at that end of that zone. It's like all the planet's energies are being shadowed, being combusted, burnt out, quieted, almost like a mother saying, shh. And that's the moon. The moon represents mother too. Shh, saying everything else be quiet. Let's look at this shadow that's being brought to our attention, right? The shadow eclipse. What is being brought to our attention about our past, from past lives, about our family, about traditions, about our home, about mother and grandmothers? So what I would suggest here, and doesn't have to be today because the eclipse is now in like, 40 minutes, but if you can today or this weekend or sometime in the next week or so, is to take some quiet time and explore within yourself what is coming forth in your life. Now, these shadows, like life will present us with things. Oh, hi, B. Life will present us with experiences to bring these shadows to our attention, to bring what needs healing to our attention. So take some time, if you can today or this weekend, but in the next week or so, to sit with this quietly, say shh, and focus on this energy within yourself and see what comes to light. And I think a lot of people focus on the darkening phase of the eclipses, but then, things come to light after. It's actually a rebirth energy. So see what births out of you what awareness comes out of you, what understanding comes out of you, or what you realize, okay, I need to address this within myself, to turn that shadow, like integrating the shadow, to turn that into an asset rather than something that trips me up all the time. Okay, so that's the Vedic. Actually, because that's what I was doing with my recordings, I'll read the section for the nakshatra from my book, Shedding Light on Jyotisha. I marked it here. Here we go. So Punarvasu is the 7th of the 27 nakshatras, and it means restoring or the commencement of wealth. But broken down into the name's two parts, we can see more depth to its meaning. Puna means again, once again, and home. So there's a repeat of the home energy and mother, which I'll get to. Vasu means good, excellent, light, and radiance. Under the influence of Punarvasu, one is driven to seek out and return spirituality, the light, and truth back to one's home life and this earthly realm. The symbols for Punarvasu are also the bow and a house. The bow represents the desire, drive, and forward movement with one's spiritual objective, and the house represents the destination, the place where one can rest and be at peace within. So with an eclipse here in this nakshatra, it's like whatever shadows or wounds or hurt, or it could even be something else that's repressed that is brought to our attention. It's to bring us more inner peace through that awareness. It may not be comfortable when you're like, oh, wow, okay, now I recognize that shadow, and that's that part of me I don't like. But through that, through understanding it and integrating it, it's a process. It's not going to all happen, in the next 40 minutes. It does bring more inner peace. The ruling deity is Aditi, the mother of the celestial gods. Aditi is the cosmic matrix of space and the primeval sound or vibration, which then yokes with consciousness. The celestial mother is unbound, free, and limitless. And as the mother of the sun, it is she who brought forth the light that sustains life on our home, Earth. The ruling planet is Jupiter, who is the teacher who guides us on the righteous path, showing how to bring our intellect and spiritual knowledge into the lives on this earthly realm. And actually, that's why I wanted to point out in this stellium here with Jupiter just on that 11-degree range of combustion by the sun, right here, exactly conjoined Ketu, the south node of the moon. His lessons might take a while to understand through whatever shadows, whatever wounds are revealed, brought to light with this full moon penumbral lunar eclipse. Okay, so that's the Vedic perspective. Let me move that over. So then I have the Western chart here for the moon, for the lunar eclipse, and it lies in the same houses, the 4th and 10th house axis. So this is a chart, for those who don't know, for the event of the full moon. It's not any individual's chart. So how this lays on your birth chart, so now we're talking Western astrology, what houses this falls in, will give you more specifics as to what areas of life you'll feel these energies more in or not. Okay, let me just check. Oh, hi, Lisa. Good morning. Okay, so similar thing with that, the full moon, the eclipse in the 4th house of home, mother, ancestors, past lives, in Cancer, which only adds to the mother energy, the grandmother energy, even the nurturing energy. So some of this might be wounds, shadow wounds revealed about how we feel or don't feel nurtured by mothers or other people in our lives. But it's opposite. What I want to add to all this, because it's very similar to the Vedic, just the moon part, is, can I get this up here? Pluto conjoined Saturn up here. So Pluto is not traditionally considered in Vedic astrology. So that's actually not part of the full moon from that perspective. But in Western astrology, the moon is opposite, 2 degrees away from exact opposition to Saturn and Pluto, who are both at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And I think in 2 days, they'll be like, the minutes will be exact, but they're already exact, actually. So the moon is reflecting also on top of everything I said, which is repeated in the Western chart, in Western astrology, the moon is also opposite those heavy planets of Saturn and Pluto in an earthy sign of Capricorn. Now that energy to me is descension. That energy for me is Pluto is a god of the underworld, so going into the earth. Capricorn, an earthy sign. Saturn is very heavy. His metal is lead. He slows us down. He pulls us down. It's like gravity, heavy. Like the Latin word for heavy is gravis, which is gravity, right? It's energy is pulling us down on earth. To be on earth, to be in our bodies, to be in our lives, and then to go deeper within ourselves. So this combination of Pluto and Saturn in Capricorn, in this alignment with the full moon, with the moon and the sun on this axis, with the nodes. For some, it's going to be a descent into the underworld, a powerful descent, a life-changing initiatory descent into the underworld within ourselves, within our own psyches. And it's almost screaming like, you must be grounded. You must be grounded in your being, in your identity, because it's very physical, all this earth energy. We must be grounded in our identity while we do this descent within. And then the journey within, the journey through the underworld may take some time because Saturn and Pluto are slow-moving planets. And for some, this may be a journey over the course of the next 6 months to a year. For those who are greatly affected like this. Again, this depends on how this lays on your chart. If you have like no planets in Cancer and Capricorn, you're not going to feel this much at all. If it's significant for you or significant house for you, you're going to feel it a lot. So but it's heavy. I just want to check because I see stuff going on. Sherry says, my husband's moon is in Punarvasu and my K2 is in Punarvasu. Very interesting. I need to go back to work. Okay. Bye, Sherry. You can listen back later. Lisa says, my hubby is Capricorn. He's feeling the heaviness. Yeah. So in my Western chart, my ascendant is Sagittarius, but 29 degrees of Capricorn are in my first house. So I identify, because first house is the house of the self, the personality, the identity. I identify a lot with things going on in Capricorn because it's most of my first house. And so, I mean, for me personally, the Saturn transit the last couple of years has been really hard. And to me, this is for me, a final revelation, like getting to that bottom layer in a process within my psyche. And for me, it does have to do with family and ancestral healing. That's a lot of what I've been working on. And this is sort of like, okay, what's at the groundwork? Saturn is foundations too. So what's at the very bottom of this underworld process that I've been going through? And as we come out of the eclipse in like half an hour or so, oh, Lisa, you'll get to see it as believe in Australia, right? As we come out of that, again, the moon turns bright. It's the rebirthing energy. And more comes to our awareness. So when the moon shines brightest, I see it like a spotlight. It's like, okay, look, hey, I'm shining the light so you can see all that's going on. And that's where free will comes in. Do we choose to integrate it? Do we choose to work with it? Or do we run away from it more? Oh, you're both Sag-rising too. It's been a bit challenging lately. But Jupiter's moving his way in, right? Jupiter's coming in. He's going to help things. You're in New Zealand. Okay. But you can go out and see it if it's clear out. So that's the addition of the Western perspective on this full moon. And really all the energy, like I like to look at how the lines line up, and we have this amazing square with some of the asteroids, but like everything's like, it's like an arrow pointing up here to all this that's going on. To Pluto, Jupiter, Ceres is up there. Well, that's very interesting because we have, I'll have to figure out StreamYard so I can share the screen. We have Ceres here. So we have Pluto, Saturn, Ceres, Mercury, the Sun, and Jupiter. It's all backwards for me. That was a little confusing. But Ceres, Demeter, her mythology, just that adds to this whole descent into the underworld. I just realized that. So Demeter's daughter was Persephone, and Persephone was kidnapped by Hades to be his bride in the underworld, kidnapped by Pluto. And Demeter grieved her daughter. Just as like really quick paraphrasing of the story, you probably already know it, but it's a way to explain the seasons. Like, you know, the fall and winter is when Demeter's grieving. Half the year Persephone had to live in the underworld, and half the year she got to be with her mother. Super quick paraphrasing of the mythology there. But that story is about descent into the underworld and rebirth and rising back up. So that just adds to all the energy. And what is in the underworld? Often our shadows. So again, there's this shadow realization. And then if we choose to do shadow work and shadow integration. Oh, hi, Heidi. Hi, Sue. Sue is, I'm a Sag ascendant, 3 degrees. My Cap is second house. Yes. There's lots of Sag risings. Oh, cool. Hopefully the book comes soon, Heidi. The ones I've ordered have come pretty quick. So hopefully, thank you. Oh, Lisa, so I already talked about the Vedic chart, Heidi, so you can rewatch later, but my second edition, Shedding Light on Jyotisha, Vedic Astrology for Beginners. So I read the portion on the nakshatra in there already, so you'll have to go back and watch if you weren't on earlier. Yeah, so a lot of shadow work. So what I did all last year was also read the Sabian symbol for the Western perspective on the moon. So I'm going to read the moon Sabian symbol. I have it marked here. So the Sabian symbol, so that book again, I just is 360 Degrees of Wisdom by Linda Hill. It's fascinating how they tend to apply. For me, it's mostly like an exploration, but I'm doing it with you guys. So the Sabian symbol is called a prima donna singing. So let's look at the oracle paragraph. This symbol can indicate that someone's abilities, talents, or limits will be tested. To fully win in the situation, one must open up their heart and let go of inhibitions, while others should drop their judgments. This will please some that are listening and allow people to feel fulfilled. Even where there are a lot of voices, there will be one that will be most listened to. Is this your voice or someone else's? And add that in there. Is this your voice or your shadows? Sometimes the prima donna demands more attention than she truly deserves. Having a loud voice can be annoying and create an imbalance that destroys the harmony or balance of the group. However, lifting your voice to convey messages that are powerful and moving can be rewarding. The thing to remember is that we all have talent that distinguishes us from others in some way. Sometimes it is not obvious, but it is within us all in some description. I'm wondering if, as the shadows are revealed, some of us may find little gold nuggets in there. Because shadow aspects aren't all like what we consider like bad qualities. Sometimes they're good qualities that we have the opinion, conscious or subconscious, that are not acceptable. And it's interesting, like the term prima donna. Because prima donna is like it's like someone with great talent and kind of to be admired. On the other hand, the shadow side of a prima donna is like, someone who's like bossy, bitch. I don't know if I can say that. It's like, yeah, the shadow side. So that's interesting. The prima donna and the voicing. So some of what comes up, some of this descent into the underworld within, we may realize we need to voice something to ourselves Usually it's to ourselves, but in some cases it may just be voicing it to the world. I don't feel like it's a particular person. And in that sense, it's expressing who we truly are as we see what is revealed deep inside. Interesting. It is heavy energy. I kind of like it though, because I know like so much more comes from these challenging times. And again, not everyone's going to feel this energy the same. You know, it's not like everyone around you is going through a dark night of the soul or a journey within, but it's those who are greatly affected by this in their charts. Okay, I got to catch up on this. Yeah, the Sabian symbols are very interesting. So, I mean, I just love like reading them through when I do these moon readings. Yeah. Okay, so that's the energies, energy. I know I say that plural, it's not grammatically correct, but I always want to say the energies because it's layers of stuff for these moons. So if you want to, I can't share the screen. So that's the Vedic chart. If you wanted to take a screenshot, come back and take a screenshot for the moon, and that's the Western chart. For this moon, a lot of energy of shadows, because again, it's printed it up. It's a shadow penumbral lunar eclipse, a shadow revealed, and the potential to work with it and integrate it. Yeah. Okay. Ooh, drumming. I have a couple of experimental drums, Heidi, that I bought to practice what I want to decorate on my drums. But I'm waiting to find the right, like, real drum. So that's something I want to explore more into. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, everyone. So I think that's it. If anyone else has a question out there, otherwise that's my little chat about the moons. I kind of like doing this live. I'll just wait a few seconds, see if there's a last question. But of course, you can always watch back. But this is going to affect, you know, in Western astrology, Capricorns and Cancers most, of course, and in the Vedic, the Gemini Sagittarians. Okay, I think we're good. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in. No problem, Heidi. You can watch back anytime. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. So my plan is to do one of these every new and full moon. So I had a poll up on my community tab, and it's been like, you know, between 45 and 55 between new moon and full moon. So I'll just do both. Time permitting, some will be longer, some will be shorter. Today's a little squeezed, but I got it in, and I wanted to get it in before we actually had the time of the full moon. Thank you, Sue. So thank you, everyone, for participating, and I'll see you back around here soon.